Hi, teacher.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. Let's get people in.
Yeah, yeah, I've just started streaming on YouTube and Twitch, etc. So just to let people know on Twitch and YouTube that we'll get going in a minute or two. Um, yeah, I'll just give it a minute. Do you know if anyone else is joining Anna on the Discord?
Um, I will let them know. Yeah, possibly. I think people are getting a bit lazy towards the end of the week now.
Fair enough.
They want to talk, but they don't want to work. So those of you that are watching the stream, you know that you're in the top 1%. You'll go very far just by being here.
Cool. Well, I'm a bit lazy today anyway, so we'll see how it goes. This video is going to be all about integrating the Near blockchain into your game. So Near is well, I guess it's a sort of Ethereum competitor. It supports smart contracts and fungible and non-fungible tokens, etc. It's pretty powerful in that its transactions per second are in the sort of tens of thousands, as opposed to sort of Ethereum, which is down to the sort of less than 100. So it's quite a magnitude faster than Ethereum. Also, the gas fees are very low as well. So generally, a transaction will cost like a penny or something, or a cent. So it's got a lot going for it. Yeah, we're going to be using this blockchain for this Unity game. The only downside is that the Unity API that's supplied by Near or supported by Near is pretty old. I mean, it hasn't been touched for a few years, and so I'm kind of creating my own. And so this is a little package that you'll need to.
Don't say that because they're sponsoring your course. That's
Well,
just a joke.
that's fine. I think they'll be happy that I'm putting the work in to create a new API for them. So you'll want to go to our Discord server to grab the package that I'm just dropping into the project now.
Package that I'm just dropping into the.
Oh, I'm getting some echo here.
I'm getting some.
Right. So
Right.
is that from you, Anna? That echo? Okay, cool. Right, so I'm going to drop this Unity package in now. It's in my courses channel, and you'll just need to grab it and drop it anywhere inside your project folder, and then it will come up with a window like this. Now this this API package is definitely a work in progress. I just put it together today, so it only does the very basics, but it does does the job. So probably what you're seeing today and what will the final course will release with will be a little bit different. So I'm going to hit import here. And this will import the scripts, and you'll see that it will create this RFG folder, and inside this RFG folder there's a near folder. Now, just to sort of take you through the code a little bit, just so you can see what's going on. I won't delve into it too much because you need to know how to use it, but you don't necessarily need to know how it all works. For the moment, I'm just supporting about 4 methods on the near API. So this is signing in using your near wallet, signing out of your near wallet, checking whether you're signed in or not, and then getting a list of tokens for an account ID that you supply and a contract ID that you supply. So these are like the basics that you need, really. That kind of covers the fundamentals of what you'll probably need to use NFTs in your game. Because if you think about it, this one here is a major one. So you want to get a list of any NFTs that a particular account holds, and you're probably interested in a specific contract, right? So this might be the contract that you're using to mint your NFTs from. So so you know this information. You should know this. This is the contract ID of the contract that holds all your NFTs, and this is the account ID that the person is logged in with. Now, this is actually missing a little bit of functionality, and at the moment I haven't quite got around to the ability to show the account ID of the current signed in user. So that's a little bit of functionality that I will have to add tomorrow. But that's fine. We can work our way around that, and there's still a lot that we can get done. And so that's all good. And this bit, these here are all calling into JavaScript function calls. And if you're in the editor, it actually uses this code. And so don't get confused, right? So this really is just sort of pretending to be the API, because when you're running in the editor, you can't get at the near wallet. You can't because this is all web-based and stuff. So this kind of pretends that you're in a web browser and running this code. So just be aware of that, so you don't get confused on that side of things. The only other thing really that you will need to understand is that we have these callbacks here. Let me just bring these up so that well, for instance, this one, right? So when we actually, because it takes a little while to call a contract and get the NFT tokens back, we need something to sort of handle the JavaScript sending to Unity all the tokens that are coming through. And so we've got this callback in here which handles that. So we never call this. This is called by the API itself. And what we can do, what this does, is it sits there waiting for the tokens to arrive in this function, and then it actually invokes this where is it, this action here, which we can subscribe to. So we can subscribe to and update our UI accordingly. So I'll go through all that, and we'll go through all that right now, and you'll see what I mean by that. Okay, cool. Let's start adding some buttons, right? So we've got this these server client buttons that are given to us by Fishnet. Let's just add some buttons for signing in and signing out in here. So if I right click in here, do UI and button here, click on that. I need to import Text Mesh Pro Essentials, so I'll just click on that button there, and that has done that. And now we have this button here. Let's just make it a little bit bigger, like that. Let's rename it to Sign In, and change the text on it to say Sign In. And let's create an empty game object, and I'm going to call this near controller. This is going to sort of house our code that we can use to talk to the near API. So I'm going to do this inside scripts here, because this is very specific to the game, right? So anything specific to the game, you really want kind of inside the game folder, inside the scripts folder. So I'm going to create a script here called near controller. There's nothing special about the name. It's just I tend to, anything that's kind of hooking things together, I like to call a controller, because these are the controllers tend to be a little bit messy, a little bit kind of hooking things together, sort of linking logic. So they're not kind of, it kind of comes from the model view controller way of thinking about things, where you have a model which holds all your data, so that tends to be pretty kind of solid stuff. And then you've got your views, and that's all your UI stuff, and then your controllers are kind of like things that link models and views together. And so anything that's a little bit kind of messy like that, I kind of call a controller, and try to keep them to a minimum. Okay, so we've got near controller here, and let's open that up. We probably will want the start, so I won't delete that, but we definitely won't want the update. I'm not going to do anything every frame in here. And I want to hook my buttons up to functions inside here. So I want to sign in, which is public, and then I can call near. Actually, one thing that I haven't mentioned is that these are all inside a namespace here, rfg.near. So to get at that namespace, you will have to put a using up the top here, rfg.near, and then that will give you access to all the sort of data and methods inside that. The reason why it's a good idea, I don't always do this, but it's a really good idea to put your stuff inside namespaces, especially if it's like you're going to package this up like I've done with this and give it to other people, because like in say in the near callbacks here, I've got some data classes, right? And you can imagine that tokens are very common. name for a class, you know, that just holds data. So it's almost certainly if someone's, you know, trying to support multiple, I don't know, multiple chains or something, they're going to have probably multiple ones of these. So putting it inside a namespace called rfg.near just means that it's not going to clash, or very unlikely to clash with anything else that they've got. So it's kind of just a nice thing to do. So that's why we're putting things inside namespaces like that. A little bit of extra work, but it saves heartache and pain down the line. So now I just want to call near API dot request sign in, and I've called it request sign in instead of sign in just because that's the name used on the near API. They just use request sign in, so it kind of just makes it a little bit close to the when you look at the documentation, you'll be able to sort of see you know, what this is kind of linking to. Now if I look at near API, what does it want? It just wants a contract ID. Request sign wants a contract ID. So you may be thinking, right, okay, well, we haven't really deployed a contract yet, so, you know, what contract am I going to sign into? Well, for the moment, let's just sign into a contract that that you may have tokens for, right? So if I look at my if I go to my wallet, walletnear.org, and I have a look at my collectibles, I have some NFTs in here, right? These are NFTs I got from going to NearCon. So if I click on one of these, somewhere, yeah, I think I need to click on that. Then this here actually is the contract ID. So I can copy that and I can use that, because then that's a way of me testing that I'm being able to log in and interact with a contract. So that's all I need for that, I think. So let's hook that up to our UI. Let's just minimize that. Come in here and expand this. And then I can just come in here and click here, drag in this controller, near controller, sign in. Okay, cool. So that's my first one done. Now, before I forget, and this is also something that I'm going to improve with the next version of the Near API package that I've just knocked up today, is you need a game object in here called near callbacks to handle all the callbacks coming back from signing in, getting tokens, etc. So I will supply a prefab for this because that's just a nice thing to do. But I will just add what needs to be added, which is a game object called near callbacks with the near callbacks script on. And the reason for that is that technically behind the scenes the JavaScript code is sending messages back to the Unity engine, and the send message function kind of looks for a game object, that's called a certain thing, right? So I'm sending a message back to near callback to the near callbacks game object, and it's going to call methods on any script that's attached to that game object. So it's really important to have the name correct, and that's why it's probably a good idea for me to create a prefab that I can just drop in here, and then the chances of having errors is less. Right. Let's just save where we're up to. And then I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to do sign out now. So just sign out. I will go to my script and create a sign out that I can hook my button up to. So that's sign out. Perfect. So let's come back here. And hook it up to sign out. So that's done. Let's duplicate this again. And this is get tokens. Yeah. Oh, and I didn't move that down, so this is sign in, and let's just name that correctly before we get too far. Sign out, and then this one here, drag this down here, and this is get tokens, like so. So we link this one up, that's correct, and then we just need our get tokens. So public void get tokens, and if you remember rightly, the first one needs to be the account ID and the second one the contract ID. So this one here is wrong. It wants to be the logged in. Eventually it will be the logged in account ID, but for the moment I'm just going to hard code my one in so we can see those, hopefully see those NFT tokens that I own from going to that NearCon thing. So now, as you can see here, right, so you would think that you would call this, and in a perfect world you'd await here and then get your tokens. Well, it doesn't quite work that way. There are ways of kind of hooking it up with await, but it's a little bit complicated. So the kind of standard way is to do this, to call this and then handle the callback in callbacks, obviously, right? But I don't want to edit this. I want to hook up to this. So let's do that in near control. This is what I mean by the controller being a little bit messy, right? It kind of just hooks everything up, so it does a little bit of everything, and that's why you can't really call it a model or a view. It's a little bit of a kind of mix of things. So let me think. So I need to do a void on enable, and is that what it is on NFTs? Yeah, that is correct. Okay, so and then void on disable for unsubscribing to that, and then so what that does essentially is it is it makes this controller listen to anything that's happening on this, because this action will get fired or called when the tokens get back, and it will essentially call this function that we're linking to it. So let's do void on FT tokens for owner, and let's not debug, let's print this out to the screen. So what we need is even more hooking up code, because we want to hook up to a text field. So let's do a text mesh pro dot tmp text dot text. That's correct. And I'll hook this up in a second, but this is just a text field I'm going to stick on the screen. And let's do something like tokens and then the number of tokens. So that should be good, because that's an array, so that's good. And then let's just kill that, and we'll do something like underscore text dot text plus equals token dot token underscore ID plus, we'll put a little bit of space in, plus, and then we'll just do token dot I think it's title. Is it title? No. Let's have a look. My callbacks, I define. Oh, right, now I have to go into metadata. So this is just the structure of the token information that's sent back from NIR, and it sends back a token ID, an owner ID, and we'll be the owner, so I don't really need to show that. And then a load of metadata, and so I just want to really show the title for the moment, and maybe the description. So you do dot metadata dot title, like so, and then I'll just do a plus, and then a let's just do that. I think I'll do do I want a /n? Yeah, I'll do a /n. Yeah, I think that would do the trick. Maybe need to do a /n here as well. So /n is a new line, so just in case you're wondering. So this will just print out tokens, number of tokens that we're getting back, add a new line to the end of that, and then it will start listing out, going through each token in tokens, and just listing out the token ID and the title, and then doing a new line so that ready for the next one. Let's have a look. So calling that will hopefully we'll eventually get a callback with our tokens. The only other thing we probably want to do is when we're on start, we probably want to let me think. Yes, we probably want to do a NIR API.is signed in, like so. Then I think that does a callback. Let me just double check. On sign in and is signed in. Yeah. So asking if you're signed in will basically, you'll get a callback on here. So let's subscribe to that as well. And then we're quite nicely hooked up then. So dot on, what was it? On sign in. Like so. No, it's not control, it's callbacks. Callbacks. And then let's do the on sign in here. So void on sign in. That does send back a bool. So we just do bool is signed in. And then we'll just do something like underscore text dot text. Yeah, I can do that. It's nice and easy. So when we start, when we go in, it's going to call this and it's going to go away, and we'll get a callback, and the text should update to say whether we're signed in or not. This will get trashed by our calling number of tokens and stuff, but so you know, that's pretty nicely hooked up now. I think we're pretty good. Let's see if we've got any errors. No errors. Did we hook this up? Nope. So near controller, get tokens. So that's hooked up. I think everything else got hooked up okay. We did not hook up our controller with some text. So that's definitely a good thing to add here. So UI text. Pull this over here. And I kind of think we want this to be pretty big. Let's do 500 by 500. Maybe even more. Something like that. Maybe our text smaller as well, just to make sure we can get everything in. 28. Good. Let's save that. Let's just hit play. Now this isn't going to go out to the blockchain or anything like that. This will only work once we've... Oh, right, yeah. Okay, but it's...
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Did you... Sorry, my computer overheated. Did you respond to Kitsune's question
No, what was that?
in the chat? Does this NFT tokens for owner differentiate with different NFTs from the same collection? Or would it go like if you have 9 foxes, it will just show your account ID paired with the fox's contract ID 9 identical times?
So what it will do is it will just... So yeah, if you compare it to like RFG, right, it will... It's almost like giving it the Rogue Fox Guild Genesis Collection contract address. That's the equivalent. And then saying what tokens do you own? What does Morgan own of, you know, those Rogue, that's, you know, in that contract. And that would be say 5 foxes. So it would give me back token ID, you know, Foxy ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever I've got, you know, 212, 300, 320, whatever. And yeah, it literally just gives back the tokens inside that contract that you own. Nothing more, nothing less. We'll see that in a second, and I'll compare it to, you know, what you can see in my wallet, and you'll see the how it works. Okay, so near controller, drag and drop that into there, save, hit play, hopefully no errors. So it's running on start to look out and see if we're signed in. Now, interestingly, these buttons don't work, and I'll tell you why. Because I think at some point we deleted the event manager for our canvas because we thought we'd probably never need it, or I don't know exactly why. But anyway,
How dare we did that? How could we do that?
I know.
Silly us, silly us.
Silly us. So let's just add it back. So we go to UI, event system, and that's not enough. We've got this big red exclamation mark because we're using the new input system. So you want to just press this button, and then it fixes everything. So a couple of clicks and we're all golden, hopefully. So let's have a look, see how we do. Right. Cool. Yeah, that, you know, you can see that on hover they're going grayish, very slight. Anyway, so sign in. I actually would have thought that would change to. Yes, probably just to see this update. Sign in. I'm just going to call this after we do that. Just really so we can see it update in the editor. It actually has pretty well no effect on the when we actually deploy, but just so that I can tell that I've hooked everything up. Cool, sign in true, so that's hooked up. If I sign out, it should turn to false. Get tokens won't do anything. We can kind of mock that up, and I was thinking that I will, with the next version, I will kind of do some mocked tokens. Again, just to pretend that you're getting some code, some data coming back, but maybe won't bother. So we're almost there, right? With hooking up this Near API, but there's one thing that we definitely still need to do, and that is we need to go to build settings, and we need to change our platform to WebGL. Now, if you're not seeing this WebGL in your build settings, it means that you need to go away to the Unity Hub, and I think it's a right click on. I can probably just bring it up and show you. So it's you go to installs, I think, and then it's this cog here probably. Add modules, there you go. And so you would click on add modules, and there you can add somewhere. Oh yeah, WebGL build support. I've got it installed here, so it's. But that's how you add anything that's missing in here. Right. So we go to player settings now, and you can see here that we have these under player, and let me just make sure that I'm showing you exactly where you need to go, and then under resolution and presentation, a bit tucked away, I've added this near WebGL template, right? And you definitely need to select that. And the reason for that is that this adds a bit of JavaScript to the template that pulls in the near API library. So that needs to be done. And I'll probably add, I'm going to have to add quite an in-depth README, I think, for this package, just to go through all this, because it is a few things you got to think about. But that's it, really. It's not too bad. Once you've done that, then everything should hang together. Now, the only thing is that I know that if I hit build now, so if you go to file, build and run, or you go to build settings, build and run, it will ask you, give me a folder to, well, let me just do it. So I tend to put all my builds in a particular folder. So I would do that, create a new folder so that you're not sort of, you want a nice clean folder to put your build in. I just know that this is going to go away for 10 minutes if I hit that button, unfortunately. So I do have one I've prepared earlier in good old, I can't remember, there was something on TV where they always used to prepare things beforehand. So I have got one here that I've prepared earlier. Is that still, yeah, that's still live, so it's still happy. So I'll just do a refresh, and this is pretty well what you would see when you build your project to WebGL. And you can hit sign in, and this will come up with your Near wallet login. So the Near wallet is a completely web-based wallet. You don't need any. One of the nice things about Near actually is you don't need like MetaMask or anything like that. It just has its own thing, which is kind of nice. So I can just hit next here. As you can see, it says that I'm gonna connect to my contract. We will replace this with our NFT contract when we get around to creating it. But for now, we're just using another NFT contract that already exists out there that I know I've got some NFTs from. And then I'm just going to hit connect. And then we come back in. It actually does a full refresh of the game. And then now we're signed in, which is kind of cool. And so we're signed into our Near wallet. Now that the user has signed in, we know they're a valid user. Yeah, they couldn't have signed into the wallet without knowing their passphrase or whatever. So we know we've got a valid user, and obviously I need to update the API so that it captures that signed in user. So we'll handle that tomorrow, hopefully. But what we can do, because I've kind of hooked in me, is do this get tokens. Well, let's just press it and see what happens. And there you go. Cool. It says I've got 3 tokens. I've got token 79. It's a little bit of a mess. I didn't use a smaller text than I did, and I think I'm printing out the whole description, so sorry about the mess, but we'll live. So I've got 79, 153, and 197. And so we've gone away and we've read that from the user's wallet. And if I go to my Near wallet, we can see that I have indeed, from this hooked one, I think this is a different one. So from this hooked one, it says 3. So this is probably, obviously, kind of exactly how this little screen on the Near wallet is working exactly the same way. So I presume, what was it? It was 79, 153. So I presume one of these is 79. So yeah, there you go. There's 79. This is 153. And this one is 197. Is it 190? Yeah, 197. So that's pretty cool. And we actually have enough information coming back in. Let me just show you. Let's minimize that. And show you in here. In this media here, this is actually a URL to the image, right? So that we're so the image that they're showing in that wallet there, we could do the same using this media and going out to the this is actually the equivalent, I think, in OpenSea terms of image underscore URL. It's essentially a URL to use to display your image. So that's pretty cool. And so I think we've covered pretty well all I want to cover today. Like I say, I need to kind of just do a little bit more work on the API to fill in that those gaps that I've mentioned. But the API really, the Near API really just consists of these 3 files in this folder here, and then this WebGL templates, which is, I mean, if you're interested, let me just always open up in, let me just open it up in here, should be able to get to it in here. WebGL templates, index.html. All I'm really doing is inserting this line here into. So if you really did want to use one of the other WebGL templates, it's not that hard to mimic what I've done, and I'll probably do put this in the kind of README for the API package, just if people want to roll their own WebGL templates. It's literally these 4 lines and you're good, because this will actually import the Near API. It essentially, the Near API exists in here, and really the only way that I know of to be able to get it so it's available inside Unity is to stick it on the window object, which seems actually quite standard, right? Because actually MetaMask does a similar thing. They just add themselves to an object on the window object. So it seems like a reasonably standard way of doing things. So that's that. I'm using Newtonsoft.json, which is a pretty handy package that I think comes with by default now, and that is really good at deserializing JSON. So these tokens come back in a JSON format, and this kind of deserializes into an array of tokens. So that's how that works. Pretty cool, pretty powerful, being able to do that in just in a one-liner. And then this is the callback that gets invoked that we are subscribing to on the enable of our near controller. So that's how that all works, and just means your controllers tend to be a little bit messy, but it's fine because you're just hooking everything up in a controller, and then they're not too bad. Cool. I think I will leave it there. I'm rambling a bit now, but you know, we have integration with the near blockchain, yeah, which is pretty amazing, and we will cover next time. I guess linking that up with gameplay, so you can kind of choose. So if you can imagine that we were logging in with, and we had, like, I don't know, our characters, we'd bought like character 2, say, from character 2 NFT, then we want to sort of look in there and maybe list, maybe we've got 2 characters, so you might want to list the characters that are in the person's wallet, and they can choose which one they want to go in with. They click on that and they go into the game with that. So that's kind of what we need to cover next. Cool, thanks everyone.